The standoff over Venezuela may have just taken a dangerous new turn. Russia claims it recently supplied the Maduro regime with advanced air defense systems, while warning that they could also arm Caracas with cruise and hypersonic missiles that would pose a direct challenge to the U.S. carrier group now stationed off of Venezuela's coast. We'll break down what this potential escalation means for President Trump's pressure campaign against Maduro and the cartels. Moscow may be officially entering the fray in Venezuela with a move that could seriously ratchet up tensions with the U.S. Earlier this week, Alexei Zhuravlyev, the deputy chairman of Russia's Parliamentary Defense Committee, said in an interview that, quote, the Americans may be in for some surprises when it comes to the Trump administration's escalating military standoff with Venezuela. He claimed that Moscow has recently provided the Maduro regime with advanced air defense systems and that the Kremlin hasn't ruled out sending cruise and even hypersonic missiles to Caracas. That's according to a report from The Telegraph. Now, before we go any further, I should stress that at this time we can't independently confirm the deputy chairman's claims, but they come after a rattled Nicolas Maduro reportedly reached out to Moscow, as well as to China and Iran, pleading for military aid amid America's military buildup in the Caribbean. As we've been tracking on the PDB, just last week it was reported that a military cargo plane connected to the Russian mercenary Wagner Group landed in Caracas, potentially carrying assistance. While the cargo was unknown, Zhuravlyev appears to have spilled the beans, saying, quote, Russian Pantsir S-1 and also Buk M2E systems were just recently delivered to Caracas by Russian transport aircraft. Now, for context, the systems he's referring to are long-range surface-to-air defenses. The alleged deployment of these systems comes just weeks after the U.S. dispatched the USS Gerald Ford carrier strike group to the region. That's the centerpiece of Washington's expanding counter-narcotics campaign against Venezuela's Cartel of the Suns, which is a network that the Trump administration describes as a state-run narco-terrorist organization. But Zhuravlyev then spoke on a far more alarming possibility, saying Moscow may arm Maduro with advanced hypersonic ballistic missiles like the Oreshnik, which the Kremlin claims is impossible to intercept. He also floated supplying the regime with cruise missiles. Either class of missiles would pose a serious threat to U.S. aircraft and naval assets now patrolling the Caribbean off Venezuela's coast. Zhuravlyev said, quote, I see no obstacles to supplying a friendly country with new developments such as the Oreshnik, or let's say the well-proven Caliber missiles. At least no international obligations restrict Russia from doing so, end quote. He added, information about the volumes and exact types of what is being imported from Russia is classified, so the Americans could be in for some surprises, end quote. It's worth remembering that the Oreshnik, which was first used by Russia in November of 2024 to strike the Ukrainian city of Dnipro, can reportedly travel at more than 10 times the speed of sound, carrying either a conventional or a nuclear payload. Russian officials boast that it could strike any target across Europe in under an hour. As I mentioned, Maduro reportedly reached out to Putin personally in recent weeks, asking for military assistance as the U.S. tightens its presence offshore. According to the Washington Post, Maduro's requests included repairs to his country's aging Russian-made Su-30 fighter fleet and up to 14 new missile batteries. But whether Moscow can actually deliver meaningful support to the Maduro regime remains an open question, as the war in Ukraine has, of course, stretched Moscow's resources thin, limiting its global influence. Still, the Kremlin has not hidden its sympathy. On Saturday, a spokeswoman for the Russian Foreign Ministry condemned what she called Washington's, quote, excessive use of military force. Mind you, this is a Russian condemning somebody else's excessive use of military force under the pretext of anti-drug operations, reiterating Moscow's, quote, firm support for Venezuela. Of course, the irony of the statement is hard to ignore, given the Putin regime's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. But clearly, the Kremlin is eager to leverage the current standoff in the Caribbean for propaganda purposes. Regarding the reports of Russian military aid, the White House and Pentagon have so far declined to comment. But the comments from Zhuravlyev appear to have been an attempt by Moscow to deter U.S. strikes against its ally and reassert its global relevance amid the Ukraine war. As to where things stand with the Trump administration's plans for Venezuela, President Trump is reportedly yet to make a decision about how or even whether to respond with military operations inside the country. According to a New York Times report on Tuesday, the president is reluctant to greenlight any operation that could put American troops at risk. Still, many of his senior advisors are said to be pushing for aggressive operations to oust Maduro from power. All right, coming up next, Ukraine notches new victories in their intensifying drone campaign against Russian energy infrastructure. I'll be right back. Hey, Mike Baker here. Well, the holidays are going to be here before you know it, and for many families, that means excitement, of course, and, well, a little stress. Between gifts and travel and generally higher prices all around, it is easy to feel overwhelmed, especially if you're already relying on credit cards to cover the basics. If that debt is piling up, well, you're not alone. Americans, listen to this, are currently carrying over $1 trillion in credit card debt. Now, if you're a homeowner, you may have already considered reaching out to American Financing, but perhaps you hesitated because you don't want to give up your current low mortgage rate. But that's why American Financing created the Smart Equity Loan. It's a simple, smart way to get your finances back on track without giving up your low mortgage rate. Unlike a HELOC, which of course can fluctuate with the market, the Smart Equity Loan offers a fixed rate, so you'll have one predictable monthly payment. It lets you use your home's equity to pay off high-interest debt, free up your cash flow, and still keep your existing mortgage intact. There are no upfront fees, so to find out if you qualify, just simply call 866-885-1881. That's 866-885-1881, or visit americanfinancing.net/PDB. Hey, Mike Baker here. Let me take just a moment to talk about protecting your hard-earned assets. Now, did you know that gold is up around 40% this year? That's not speculation, it's just reality. And if a portion of your savings isn't diversified into gold, well, you could be missing the boat. So here are the facts. Inflation is still too high. The U.S. dollar is, well, still too weak. And the government debt seems almost insurmountable. And that's why central banks are flocking to gold, and they're the ones driving prices up to record highs. But it's not too late to buy gold from the Birch Gold Group. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or a 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. And, importantly, you don't pay a dime out of pocket. Just text PDB to 989-898 and claim your free information kit. There's no obligation. It's just useful information. Look, the best indicator of the future is the past, and gold has historically been a safe haven for generations during times of economic uncertainty. Just text PDB to 989-898 right now to claim your free information kit on gold. Again, PDB to 989-898. Protect your future today with Birch Gold. Welcome back to the Afternoon Bulletin. Another night and more explosions deep inside Russia. Ukrainian drones struck energy sites across multiple regions, including the Volgograd oil refinery. Now, that's one of the country's largest, in a campaign that is steadily grinding down the systems that are powering Russian President Putin's war machine. Kyiv's Special Operations Forces said that their deep strike units, working alongside military intelligence, carried out the operation Wednesday night. And much like other drone barrages from Kyiv, it wasn't a one-off hit, but rather a continuation of Ukraine's wider strategy to, in the military's words, quote, strategically weaken the enemy's ability to wage war. Now, the Volgograd refinery isn't just any energy facility. It processes more than 15 million tons of crude a year, or roughly 6% of Russia's total capacity, making it, of course, one of the most significant facilities in the Kremlin's energy empire. Of course, local Russian officials tried to play down the attack. The regional governor confirmed a fire and one fatality, but stopped short of naming the refinery, saying only drones had sparked the blaze, but emergency crews quickly brought it under control. But the images of flames rising over Volgograd on social media, they told a different story. The plant sits nearly 300 miles from the front lines, far beyond the reach of artillery, and yet for the second time in less than 3 months, Ukrainian drones found their mark on the site. And the massive oil refinery wasn't the only target. Explosions were also reported overnight at one of the Putin regime's largest thermal power plants, located some 460 miles from the Ukrainian border. Further south in Crimea, Ukrainian forces reportedly struck 3 fuel depots and a base used to store Iranian-made drones. Unconfirmed reports also point to explosions at a hydroelectric facility some 200 miles east of Moscow, as Kyiv's reach now stretches across multiple energy hubs. The Russian Defense Ministry said its air defenses intercepted 75 drones overnight across several regions, including Crimea, but offered no details on infrastructure damage. Still, the pace and precision of Ukrainian strikes are getting harder for Moscow to contain. As we've discussed, Ukraine's intelligence service, the HUR, described a drone operation last week against the Kochevoy pipeline, a 250-mile artery linking Moscow's refineries to depots in the south, as, quote, a serious blow to Russia's war supply chain. But Moscow continues to answer in kind. Russian missiles and drones repeatedly target Ukraine's power grid, aiming, of course, to freeze civilians as winter sets in. According to The Hill, Russia's latest overnight strikes on Ukraine's eastern regions injured at least 8 people and triggered multiple fires, while separate attacks on rail infrastructure in Kyiv and neighboring areas caused widespread disruptions. In his nightly address yesterday, Ukrainian President Zelensky said foreign partners are helping keep the grid alive. He said, quote, practically every day, our power engineers, repair brigades, and the State Emergency Service are carrying out restorations after attacks, end quote. And that, my friends, is the PDB Afternoon Bulletin for Thursday, the 6th of November. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me at pdb@thefirsttv.com. And now, if you love the PDB, and, well, how could you not, but would like an ad-free experience, just become a premium member of the President's Daily Brief by visiting pdbpremium.com. It's really that simple. I'm Mike Baker, and I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, stay informed, stay safe, stay cool. Hey, Mike Baker here, with an important message for dudes everywhere. Look, have you ever felt awkward walking into the pharmacy and picking up a prescription for something personal, wishing that the pharmacist maybe would lower their voice? Maybe you're picking up something that you'd rather keep discreet. Well, look, there's a better way to do that. Meet Rougiette Ready, right? It's a next-gen ED treatment made right in the USA. It's the first to target both the brain and the body, boosting arousal and blood flow in just 15 minutes. Get out of here, 15 minutes, with effects lasting up to 36 hours. Seriously, 36 hours. Rougiette Ready is a fast-acting, dissolvable tablet formulated with clinically proven medications for ED. And getting Rougiette is easy. Just answer a few questions online, get reviewed by a doctor within 24 to 48 hours, and receive discreet delivery, right? No insurance, no pharmacy lines, no embarrassment, just fast, effective results that you can count on. Ready to give Rougiette a try? Well, get 15% off your first order by simply going to rougiette.com/PDB and using code PDB. Or simply click the link in the video description or scan the QR code to claim this offer.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and leave a comment, a really positive, nice, and kind comment. That would be appreciated. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our daily updates.